I remember too the fear and the displacement and the loss. We lost our own people. We also lost our soldiers who sacrificed for us. I remember mothers feeding children who were not their own. Yesterday, I met a mother. When I was working in the hospital, this poor woman and her husband, the family is called Safi. We sat by the door. Actually, this is the son of that gentleman, Mr. President. His younger sister, a baby 2 weeks old, the parents left that child in the house and they took off running. When the soldiers came and said, the rebels came and said, Badingadi atolinge yakire. I was 7 months pregnant. I had to go back into the house, pick that little baby, and I chased after the parents. And when I finally caught up with them, the husband and the wife said, in Lubara, Obi diadruti, ala muiwando adira. If the woman and the man are still there, they will get more babies. They had already forgotten about that little girl. But she's now married and has kids. Award 4. After that, as we were running, the bullets, Mr. President, by then I didn't know how bullets sound because I was a nurse. I was delivering babies and giving injections. I heard something like a whisper and bullets flying. Then the military told me those were bullets very close. And my daughter is somewhere, the one I was pregnant with at that time. Where are you, Faith? I had to climb a mango tree and sleep in a mango tree at that time when we had the war. Today, we don't have that. We are enjoying your principle number 1 of Musevenomics, which is peace and security. I remember elders refusing to teach revenge. I remember young people daring to dream, even in the dust of conflict. Now look how far we have come. Look at all these people who have come to receive you today, Mr. President. That time you couldn't have that. We didn't have a university. Now we have Money University. We had one bus company coming from Kampala, UTC. Now we have hundreds and thousands of bus companies in West Nile celebrating your number 2, liberalization and privatization of the economy. We had one radio station. Today, we have hundreds and hundreds of radio stations and TV stations. Mr. President, we must nurture what we have. The people of West Nile no longer know rebellion. I can only say we can be remembered for our resilience, our recovery, and our promise. We see roads where we had once footpaths, schools where there was silence, clinics where there was suffering, and most importantly, we see hope. Hope, Mr. President. Peace is just not an absence of war. It is the presence of justice and of opportunity, of dignity for all. That is why we must not only commemorate peace, we must protect it. We must nurture it through inclusive development, through listening to the voices of the youth and the women, and by ensuring that no one feels left behind. And we know you have made it inclusive even for your universal primary education and universal secondary education. Your Excellency, thank you for the infrastructural investments, for the support to our farmers, because we know you have been teaching that for years. And when you start, people say, there he goes again. It's so boring. Listen to your president. Please. We must nurture everything we have achieved. I urge continued focus on industrialization. You heard what the LC5 said here. We do need industries in West Nile. We can no longer do Kasamvu jobs. No. Our people deserve to work here in West Nile. To our elders, thank you for guiding us. To our religious leaders, thank you for advising us. To our young people, you are the custodians of this peace. Defend it with ideas, not arms, not guns. To the former combatants, the people who fought and then signed the peace, you made a hard choice to lay down your arms and weapons. Let history remember you, not as rebels, but as rebuilders. To our partners in government, and the civil society and the international community who walked us during that fragile moment, thank you. Your support in integration, reconciliation, and reconstruction, supported by our government to restore dignity and opportunity to countless lives. To the brave men and women in uniform, I have a list here. I hope I'm not reading everybody. I was going to give it to Honorable Huda. We have General Katumba Wamala, Kale Kaihura, General Sam Okiding, General Sam Kavuma, late General Kazini, Major.
How was the situation of security some 23 years back, and how do you feel it now since you returned?
When we came back from exile in the 80s, after NRM took power, what happened was that at the time I worked as a district health visitor and regional health visitor covering the entire West Nile region. And we only had 13 health facilities which were functional in the greater Arua. We used to use grass, light grass, to deliver children, women in the health facilities. It was awful. The rebels would come and they would tie my stuff and take away my medicines. They would loot the solar panels where we kept our vaccines for the refrigerators. It was tough, but with time the men in uniform helped to keep the peace. But in 2002, when I was the Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development, I invited Afande Salim Saleh to come and launch a company, Abdeco, in Aivu constituency. And that was in April. And when we came, that was also the time General Bamuze and his rebels landed in West Nile, here in Aringa then, and it was in Rodo. And what happened then after that was me and Kale Kaihura, we came to Yumbe and spoke with Major Achikule and the late Akweku, with the two of them, and we convinced them. We spoke with Bamuze and he agreed to meet with Afande Saleh. A lot of things had been happening. Our military had been working. There were different groups which were trying to keep peace, but it was awful. So after that, the following day, General Saleh met with General Bamze. That was the first time, and then they signed the ceasefire. They pronounced the ceasefire. And when they did, that is actually what happened. And after that, 8 months is when we signed the peace agreement with the government in December. 8 months only. Then after that, I moved with Kaihura and Saleh to Acholi. And then we started the process for LRA.
Okay, I know there were agreement. In the agreement, there were certain things the government is supposed to fulfill, absorbing the combatants in the UPDF, constructing some institutions, and so on. So far, how far have government gone with the achieving?
I think 90% of the agreement has been achieved. It has been achieved. And also, if you look at the dividends of peace, in the last 23 years, when we signed that peace agreement, there was only one university, no university in West Nile. Now we have Muni University. We had one radio station in Kampala. Now we have thousands, and you are all beneficiaries. You see, we now have so many schools, and both primary and secondary. For security, this is the evidence. If you see Yumbe, Aringa, and West Nile developing like this, you can be shocked. We used to light grass to deliver women in the health facilities. But let me tell you, today you have electricity in West Nile and all the health facilities.
Okay, Honorable, lastly.
Roads have been done, we have water. Yes, lastly what?
Okay. Lastly, there have been allegations that when you come back from wherever you have been, you are going to contest